for clicking on another video of mine, unless it's your first time here, in which case I'd love for you to subscribe. Today we are going to be talking about planes, in particular this DEWALT 20 volt max plane here. Now, as the kids say, it's been a minute since we've done anything with planes on this channel, and today we're not going to do a project as such. We're just going to talk about, test, and review this plane here, which I've become so happy with. Now, up until I got this plane just earlier this year, I had a beautiful collection, still have a beautiful collection of vintage and antique hand planes. Now, this isn't the entirety of my collection, but this is a beautiful setup here. We have a number 7, which is just a massive beast of a hand plane. That was a gift from a friend. A number 6, which belonged to my grandfather. A really beautiful plane, a Bailey, made in England. I believe this one, yeah, this is a Bailey as well. Beautiful. Another made in England. This is a number 5.5 or so, jack plane there. This is your standard number 4 by Footprint, made in England. So all of these were made in England. Just beautiful planes, and I love them, I really do. And I love using manual hand planes, traditional hand planes like this. I would never get rid of this collection. And if the time ever came that we didn't have ready access to power all the time to repeatedly charge batteries and stuff, this would offer you a lot of capability, and this still is a better choice for some projects. We'll talk about that later. But what I want to talk about right now is this beautiful piece right here, which offers some benefits above a traditional style hand plane. Look at that, isn't that just beautiful? We'll just start off so we can get it out of the way. There's a guard that comes with this. The skate or the shoe, the foot, whatever you want to call it on this plane, is built so the blade actually extends a little wider than the foot, and that allows you to mill exactly a piece of standard milled 2x4, which is about 3.5 inches wide. So you can clamp this on, and this will keep you exactly, if you have it set just right, will keep you exactly on a 2x4, so you don't have to steer your way down a 2x4. You can plane a surface really quickly and easily, which is beautiful. That just goes in through this front hole there. Crank it down. Right now I'll tighten it up so it doesn't vibrate out of there. But here is our plane. This is how you'll likely most often be using it. Isn't just a handsome tool. I just think it's such a good looking tool. There's our exhaust port for our shavings, and it does throw some shavings. We'll do a little overview here. You guys know I always rave about the DEWALT grips. They have a nice slender grip, all over molded rubber, really attractive design, and all their tools I just find really ergonomic. Now, I don't always appreciate these things, the trigger lockouts. Now, while they do offer a lot of safety, especially with me with kids around, they can be a hassle, especially if you're using the tool at an obscure angle. Sometimes you gotta find cheap ways to press down that trigger lockout, and sometimes they're really stiff. Just adds a little bit of fatigue. But is it worth it for the sake of the safety that this couldn't be laid down and one of my little girls couldn't just come and throttle it open? It's a trigger lockout, so it is a very good safety feature. But beautiful ergonomics. You can see the plane isn't that big. Let's just bring in a standard number 4 here. So the foot is a couple inches longer, definitely wider. That's one nice thing you get about a plane like this, is you get to mill a lot of material at once. Of course, speed is why you would want a machine like this. But look at that machine foot. Everyone that sees this, everyone I've shown it to, just sort of marvels at the beautiful machining there. Can you see that mill textured finish? It's a little bit tricky to pick up on in the camera. I'm trying to get you to see it there. Oh, there it is. There you can see it. You can see these swirls like this. Just beautiful. Replaceable feet, which is nice. And there are our blades, which are replaceable as well. So we have little Torx heads, which are the least likely to strip out of all the different type of screws they could have put there. And they put the tool for changing out the blades right here in the handle, securely fastened. Not something you'll need often, but it's nice to have the tool there at the ready. Now, something else about this plane that I really love, one of those features above just how it works, they really thought of everything on this plane. Right here is a little locking cap, twist lock cap that plucks out of there. You have 2 slots for 2 new blades. This is a 2-bladed rotor here, 2-blade plane, little small blades. You can put 2 replaceables in there. So if you're on a job site somewhere, you have your 2 blades. Let's say you run into a nail and you really chew up your blades. You have 2 replacement blades and the tool to change them out right on there. So you could pull these 2 out, put the bad 2 in there, put the 2. You're not figuring out what to do with stuff, where to get stuff. Isn't that beautiful? I might go ahead and proactively buy an extra pair just to put in there. Something else they've thought of, you know, with the old planes, there's the age-old debate of how to lay your plane down when you're working. Now, I have a wood top bench, so I'll lay my plane right on my bench like that. Even if the iron is out, which right now it's roughly flush, I've got it backed in. But I'll lay it flat because I have a softwood bench. Some people say you should lay it on its side, whatever. Now with a tool like this, DEWALT has incorporated this little step that locks up, but it's a little flip down. So you can just stand your plane up off the work surface. Now that's important because these blades really come out a long ways if you want them to. So to be able to have that, just basically like a little kickstand, keep your plane up, is pretty handy. Now let's try to give you a good look, I think you can see it there, of the depth adjustment. So we're at 0, very clearly seen a little arrow right here. You can see this a lot better when you're standing over the plane. This is just a twist. There's no pull to unlock or anything like that. It's just a really stiff adjustment. It takes you up to 5/64 of 1 inch, which is quite a lot of material. Might not sound like a lot, but when you're milling that off in one pass, that is a substantial amount of material. There's probably going to be some woods where you're not able to pull that much off of there. It's just, that's a massive amount. I have 2 fully charged batteries here, 2 20-volt max batteries. This is a 1.5 amp hour, so a very small battery. This is a 5 amp hour, fully charged. You can see by the indicator lights on the back. This is a nice big battery, so we'll let you hear it run. We'll test it out with both, just so that you can see it runs just as well pretty much on both. I do find the 5 gives it a little more oomph, even though some people will argue that the amp hours doesn't really play any effect on power delivery, just on runtime. I don't find that to be the case. Over a lot of different tool use, I find the bigger batteries, especially in the really heavy draw tools, the bigger batteries just give a little more. Like the circular saw, the vacuum uses a lot of power. You put in the 5 amp hour, your suction is increased, even with both at full charge. Of course the 5 amp hour will run a lot longer as well. But let's fire it up. Throw on some glasses here. And I'll let you hear it run, just not under load. You'll see that it's a fairly quiet machine. Very smooth. 0 vibration in the handle. Let's try it with the 5. Can you hear that? I'm not sure if the camera will pick up that distinction, but you can hear an RPM change there. Okay, let's stop rambling and let's get on to the part I know you're really waiting to see. We're going to actually work it. I have a piece of full dimension 2x4 here. This is rough, unplaned lumber from a local sawmill. It's relatively dry. I've had it for quite a few months. It's been inside. And I got a couple small knots here. But we're just going to run it at, say, let's run it just at the first notch and see what the first notch takes off of this rough material. There's the finish before running the plane. Okay, here we go. We're on the first notch. See if it really removes anything. And there it is, so a little skim, not enough to give what looks like a plain surface. but it did bring it down a little. We're gonna go all the way up to 1/64 now. You see there's still a few spots that are lows on this piece. We're starting to get what looks like a plain finish. Even a little bit of glossiness. I'm not sure if you can catch that light off of there. Let's go right up to 1/32, which is a substantial amount of material removed. Now look what we have here. Now this would be a good shot. You're on the side without the shavings coming at your face. Let's go to 3/64. And let's see if we can run all the way to 5/64. Remember, this is full 2-inch spruce or fir lumber. Not quite sure. Would be considered a softwood, but let's see if she'll push through it. Let's give it once more at 5/64 at this angle, and we'll push it a little harder. We'll see what we can get from it. So that is pretty impressive. That's a bit of work right there with a manual hand plate. Of course, with a piece of board this wide, this job would be better off for like a thickness planer. But we'll run it at, say, 1/64. That should be enough to mostly trim off the face of it. So let's see. We'll do see if we can do it 2 passes. So I think the results speak for themselves. It really is an exceptional performing tool. You see it here now placed with all the shavings. I just took a picture of it there for the thumbnail. But man, that is beautiful. Look at those piles of shavings. If we run out this winter, this I'll be making them for the chickens out there. But I think the results really speak for themselves. It's a beautiful tool. It's fairly compact. Of course, it's larger than your standard handyman plane, like your smaller 4 and 5 Stanleys. But you do get a wider cut capacity, and you get the performance that these just can't compete with. Of course, that is the reason that you'd have something like this. I can think of 2 main reasons. One, a tool like this is very fast performing. It's just, you could never achieve the same speeds with something like that. Secondly, you can use an electric plane like this. Because it's moving so fast, it allows you to rip through knots and even to plane materials other than just traditional wood. Although it's not great on your blades, you can shim down the edge of a sheet of aspenite or something if it won't quite fit in under your wall, or between your ceiling and your floor. You can take a skim off. You can't do that with a traditional plane. That's kind of difficult to do. Let's say you throw your sheet of OSB up against the wall and it won't quite squeeze in. You can tip it down a little, grab this, zip, pull a 1/16 off, bam, it's done. If you don't have a tool like this, that becomes a little bit tricky. You've probably got to take the whole sheet down and try to rip it through the table saw, in which case you're taking off at least 1/8 of an inch. It's hard to do those little skims if you don't have a tool like this. Like I said, trimming like OSB and stuff like that is not great on your blades. Very harsh material, but you can do it, which is a really beautiful thing. Of course, the downside with this compared to this has a motor and will wear out. eventually. Now, unless you're a full-time contractor, this will probably last you a lifetime for the amount you're going to use it. This will last you a lifetime regardless, and other people's lifetimes after you if maintained properly. This is a forever tool. This isn't. The other downside, you have to have power and batteries to keep this thing running. Not a big deal, but you definitely need to have that. So it's based on our current state of living, however you want to take that. I just think it's a beautiful tool. If you're interested, of course, I posted this video now because I know sales are coming up right now for Christmas and Black Friday and all this stuff. So be on the hunt if you think you could use this tool. I think it's just a really beautiful addition to anyone's tool arsenal. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you think there are any other unique uses you could use a tool like this for. I know some of you guys, like Johnny, are, he'll know when he's watching this, he's a big DEWALT guy like myself. But if there are some of you guys that are watching that are in that field working constantly, and you can probably think of really unique ways to use this tool that someone like myself wouldn't think of. But it's just a really beautiful tool. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.